Imagine this. Nami, the cunning and resourceful navigator of the Straw Hat Pirates, is suddenly thrown into the dangerous and unpredictable world of Hunter x Hunter. One moment, she's charting a course on the Thousand Sunny, the next, she's in York New City, right in the midst of the Hunter license exam. But this isn't just any treasure hunt. It's a brutal competition filled with powerful competitors, tricky Nen abilities, and deadly tests. What's Nami to do? With her sharp wits, navigational skills, and trusty climate tech, Nami is ready to conquer the exam. But there's a catch. She has no idea what Nen is. In a world full of mystery and deceit, Nami's skills will be tested in ways she's never imagined. Her goal is simple. Pass the exam to get some answers from the higher-ups about her present situation, find a way back to her crew, and maybe, just maybe, get her hands on some treasure along the way. But she's not alone in her pursuit. From forming unlikely bonds with Gon and Killua to outsmarting the dangerous Hisoka and the Phantom Troop members, Nami's adventure in the Hunter x Hunter universe will challenge her greed, her cunning, and ultimately, her heart. Get ready for a treasure hunt like no other as Nami navigates a world where the stakes are higher than ever before. Nami's landing in York New City was anything but graceful. One minute, she was navigating the open sea on the Thousand Sunny with the wind in her hair, and the next, she was crashing through a strange, unfamiliar skyline. The city was massive, with towering buildings that stretched far beyond what she could comprehend. The streets were bustling with people, all going about their business. But the air was thick with tension. Nami shook her head, trying to process what had just happened. Where was she? It didn't take long before Nami realized that she wasn't in the Grand Line anymore. The people here were strange. I mean, stranger than Luffy and Frankie. And there was an eerie undercurrent of power in the air. She glanced around, trying to make sense of her situation, but before she could gather her bearings, a large screen in front of her flashed a sign that said, "Hunter Exam Entrance, Participants Only." She had heard of the Hunter Exam from rumors whispered by passing travelers, but she didn't think she'd ever actually end up in the middle of it. Great, just what I needed, Nami muttered to herself. The last thing she could remember was being sent flying by Bartholomew Kuma on the Shibondi. She had no idea how she ended up in the Hunter x Hunter world, but she wasn't about to waste time figuring it out. If there was one thing she knew how to do, it was hustle. And if there was one thing Nami could do better than anyone, it was navigate her way out of a tricky situation. She is, after all, the trusty Straw Hat Pirates navigator. It wasn't long before a few disoriented competitors from the Hunter Exam approached her, asking if she was also participating. Nami, always quick on her feet, gave a nonchalant shrug and a shy smile. "Of course I am. Late for the exam, but not too late for the treasure," she said, adjusting her climb attack with a wink. The confused applicants nodded, believing her. Nami had already formed a plan. This was just another treasure hunt, and she was gonna play it her way. The first phase of the Hunter Exam was simple enough. A run through a series of traps designed to test a candidate's cunning, survival instincts, and stamina. But what Nami saw as a treasure hunt, others might have seen as a deadly gauntlet. The other applicants were quick to run headlong into the traps, but Nami's sharp mind quickly registered the layout. The ground was booby-trapped with hidden pits, tripwires, and shifting walls. But instead of rushing in like the others, Nami simply held up her climb attack and used Mirage Tempo to create decoys. The illusions confused the traps, allowing her to avoid them and slip past undetected. A trick she previously used on Khalifa from CP0. By the time the other participants caught up, she was already ahead, grinning to herself. That was easy, she thought. This exam is all about survival, but with my brain and some weather tricks, I'm already one step ahead. However, not everything was going smoothly. Nami's antics didn't go unnoticed, and soon the examiners began to question her odd, seemingly quirkless behavior. After all, the Hunter Exam was filled with participants using quirks, special abilities that were almost a requirement for success. But Nami wasn't using a quirk. Instead, her weather-based attacks from her climb attack were being mistaken for something far more dangerous: Nen abilities. The examiners thought she was a conjurer, Nen user. Her first encounter with the examiners came when one of the judges, a stern man named Menchi, asked her about her power. "The weather control, what is it? A quirk?" Menchi asked, eyeing Nami suspiciously. Nami, never one to miss an opportunity, simply grinned. "Quirk? Nah, this is just a fancy version of our master craftsman Usopp's latest design based on weather control. I call it super cool power," she said with a wink. The examiners were perplexed but intrigued. Nami's ability to manipulate the weather so precisely in a chaotic setting like this made her seem like a natural fit for the hunter exam. Though they didn't fully understand her methods, obviously for being out of this world, they allowed her to continue, impressed by her adaptability and resourcefulness. But Nami wasn't just playing for survival. She always had an eye on the prize: treasure. Along the way, she encountered some of the other candidates, one of whom, Hisoka, caught her attention. Hisoka, a twisted and playful fighter with unnerving charisma, watched her closely, intrigued by her sharp wit and unusual power. Nami, however, saw Hisoka as a means to an end, a potential target for a quick deal or trade. She wasn't here to make friends, she was here to survive and, ideally, walk away with a fortune. But by the end of the first phase, Nami had already earned herself a reputation. Her ability to navigate traps and think on her feet, combined with her weather-based attacks, made her stand out among the other applicants. She didn't need a quirk to succeed. Her resourcefulness, clever tricks, and her climb attack were more than enough to get her through. For now, that is. As she made her way to the next phase, Nami couldn't help but think to herself, this isn't the grand line, but it sure has its perks. The real treasure in this world is knowledge and power, and I'm gonna get both. With an evil grin, she adjusted her climb attack and prepared for whatever came next. Having passed the first phase of the hunter exam, Nami found herself surrounded by an entirely new set of challenges. The world of Nen was a mystery to her. At least, she thought it was. She hadn't fully grasped the intricacies of Nen, but she quickly figured out that her climb attack, the weapon she had relied on so much in the past, was something that could be mistaken for a Nen ability. Her Mirage Tempo and Thunderbolt Tempo created weather effects that seemed almost magical to the other competitors, though Nami wasn't exactly sure how it all worked. While Nami initially dismissed Nen as some form of fancy hockey she had yet to understand, she couldn't help but notice the curiosity in the eyes of others, particularly Gon and Killua. They were true, natural-born hunters, while she was an outsider. Still, she couldn't resist the opportunity to learn more. If there was one thing Nami was good at, it was figuring out how things worked and how to use them to her advantage. In the following days, Nami managed to make a deal with Wing, a Nen master who had been teaching Gon and his friends, in exchange for some of her knowledge of weather patterns and navigation. Wing agreed to teach her the basics of Nen. Nami, naturally, was more interested in the practical side of things, how she could use Nen to amplify her abilities rather than getting bogged down in all the theory. Under Wing's guidance, Nami learned the fundamental principles of Nen, specifically enhancement. The ability to increase the power of her existing techniques, such as improving the weather effects created by her climb attack. Her lessons were intense, but Nami was quick to adapt. The first time she successfully imbued her climb attack with Nen, she was ecstatic. The Thunderbolt Tempo she had always used to shock opponents now felt more powerful, her weather-based attacks more refined. This was gonna be fun, she thought, already envisioning how she could use her new skills to outsmart competitors and, more importantly, make some easy money along the way. The idea of combining her climb attack with Nen seemed like the perfect formula for a treasure hunt, and in a world full of Nen-powered hunters, there were plenty of treasures to be found. It wasn't long before Nami's new abilities caught the attention of her fellow exam participants. Her enhanced Thunderbolt Tempo dazzled even the most experienced competitors, and her clever use of weather illusions was becoming a trademark. It was during the York New City phase of the exam, as the competition grew fiercer, that Nami truly began to shine. She teamed up with Gon and Killua, joining them in their quest to find treasure at the auction, while keeping a sharp eye out for opportunities. She wasn't interested in just any treasure. She was searching for something valuable, something she could use to secure her place as a professional hunter and get closer to finding a way home. As Nami spent more time with Gon and Killua, she began to develop a deeper understanding of the true nature of her goals. Despite her initial greed and desire to profit from the Hunter exam, she found herself growing fond of the young boys, especially Killua. The bond they shared grew stronger as Nami saved Killua from a dangerous trap set by other competitors. Naturally, she charged him a hefty fee for her assistance. 100,000 Jenny for the rescue, she said with a smirk, though the playful banter that followed made their relationship feel more sibling-like. Killua, never one to back down from a challenge, shot back with a sarcastic comment, "How generous of you!" Still, Nami couldn't help but feel that her attachment to Gon and Killua was more than just a temporary alliance. There was something about their genuine kindness and determination that softened her heart, a quality she rarely showed others. Also, the boys reminded her of Chopper from back home. But as her bond with Gon and Killua deepened, Nami's growing involvement with the world of Nen attracted the attention of someone far more dangerous, Hisoka. The enigmatic, powerful fighter had been observing Nami for some time, intrigued by her unique aura and the potential she had to become a formidable Nen user. Hisoka's interest wasn't based on friendship, in fact, it was far more sinister. He saw Nami as a challenge, a puzzle to be solved, a treasure to be claimed. Hisoka approached her one evening asking if she would like to make a deal, but Nami, ever the schemer, wasn't about to fall into Hisoka's twisted game. Thinking on her feet, Nami quickly concocted a plan to get away from Hisoka and avoid any dangerous confrontation. She showed him a fake treasure map that led to a supposed hidden fortune, hoping to distract him long enough for her to escape. Hisoka, though entertained by her wit, didn't fall for the trick entirely. Still, he allowed Nami to slip away, but his ominous presence lingered, a reminder that danger was never far in this world. Nami, however, was undeterred. She had learned enough from Gon, Killua, and her lessons with Wing to know that Nen wasn't something to be underestimated, and the path ahead would require more than just her usual tricks. It would take not only cunning, but the strength to face the most dangerous enemies she could ever imagine. And in the world of Hunter x Hunter, that was exactly what she was going to need if she ever hoped to find her way back to the Straw Hats. As Nami continued her journey through the Hunter exam, she quickly became more than just a cunning survivor. She was a force to be reckoned with. Her Nen-enhanced climate attack allowed her to control the weather with precision, using attacks like Thunder Mirage to create electrified clones, and Cyclone Tempo Nen Storm to unleash massive electrified whirlwinds that stunned her opponents and protected her newfound friends. Her skills were put to the test during the York New Auction arc, where Nami discovered a powerful Nen-infused artifact, somehow linked to her unexpected multiversal arrival in this world. As she navigated the dangerous auction alongside Gon, Killua, and Kurapika, she found herself face to face with the infamous Phantom Troop. Nami, always looking out for herself, but now more protective of those she cared for, used her sharp mind to distract the troop members. By combining her weather illusions with her Nen abilities, she helped Kurapika's team escape their clutches. In a moment of heroism, Nami confronted the troop directly. With a fierce grin, she unleashed her most powerful attack yet, Cyclone Tempo Nen Storm. The electrified whirlwind blasted through the troops' ranks, sending them scattering in all directions. Nami's voice rang out bold and confident. "Nobody messes with my treasure!" Her words weren't just a declaration of power, they symbolized her growth in the short span of time in this world, her shift from a self-serving treasure hunter to a protector of those that she cared about. With the troop temporarily defeated, Nami's attention turned to the artifact she had uncovered. Recognizing that it held the key to her return to the One Piece world, she activated the portal, determined to find her way back to her crew. Before stepping through the rift, Nami turned to Gon, who had become not just a companion, but a true friend. "Find your treasure, kid," she said with a soft smile, embracing the bond they had shared. As she stepped through the dimensional warp, Nami landed back in the familiar world of the One Piece on the Shibodi Archipelago 2 years later after the encounter with Kuma. Greeted by the grinning face of Luffy. "Nami, you didn't steal too much, right?" He laughed, a twinkle in his eye. Nami chuckled, twirling her upgraded climate tag, now sparking with Nen energy. Just a little treasure for myself, she teased, adjusting her device. She was back where she truly belonged, with her family, ready for whatever the new world had in store.